Hello everyone, welcome to Fridays with Father. Father Gary here. I want to share with you a statement that Archbishop Aitchen made last week on nuclear arms. This statement is posted on our website. Just call your attention to it, ask you to take some time to prayerfully read it. You know the tensions that are rising in the world around the threats of a nuclear exchange. And so Archbishop Aitchen wrote this letter. A number of bishops throughout the world have written statements on the threat of nuclear war. Archbishop calls to mind the fact that here in the Puget Sound we have one of the largest deployed nuclear arsenals in the country. And so we would be a target. The Archbishop says that soberly, that he wanted to write this just as a way to really highlight not only the threat generally, but specifically the threat here for us in Washington State. He quotes Pope Francis. In 2019, Pope Francis visited Hiroshima and said this: "The use of atomic energy for purposes of war is immoral, just as the possessing of nuclear weapons is immoral." It's a very strong statement. It's a statement that was implied in the U.S. Bishop's statement way back in 1983, in which they, in their statement on nuclear war, they named that some limited use of nuclear weapons was totally out of bounds, that no use of nuclear weapons could be permitted, that the stockpiling of nuclear weapons also is out of bounds, that having some nuclear weapons for a limited amount of time as we move towards disarmament, they said in that 1983 letter, was permissible. But now we are almost 40 years after that. And so Pope Francis in 2019 said that we are past the point of it being moral to even have nuclear weapons. This is rooted in a Catholic teaching that is a basic principle, which is you can never threaten something that would be immoral to carry out. And so having nuclear weapons as a deterrent, the deterrent itself is a threat that cannot be carried out consistent with Catholic teaching. Much of this rooted in our just war tradition, where war can be justified if you are protecting innocents and if the damage that you do in protecting those innocents doesn't go beyond the good that you hope to achieve. Well, we know that any kind of use of nuclear weapons is indiscriminate, meaning that it will kill people who are non-combatants and will create a crisis in our environment that will probably be impossible to reverse. And so for that reason, bishops throughout the world and Archbishop Aitchen last week are issuing statements about this. Archbishop asks us to do three specific things to intensify our prayer for peace. He says, pray for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine and the renewal of progress toward the elimination of nuclear weapons. Second, he asks us to stay informed, to keep educating ourselves, both on the international situation and what the church and other religious leaders are saying about this nuclear peril that we find ourselves in. And third, he asks, join me in appealing for peace and nuclear disarmament with your family, your friends, your neighbors, and elected officials. The Archbishop goes on to say we need to take immediate action to avert nuclear disaster. each day runs a risk that nuclear weapons will be used, either by intent, miscalculation, or accident. And then he closes his statement quoting St. John Paul II at Hiroshima. And he asks that this be our own words this day. Let us embark upon the steep and difficult path of peace, the only path that befits human dignity, the only path that leads to the true fulfillment of human destiny, the only path to a future in which equity, justice, and solidarity are realities and not just distant dreams. Let us make those words our own and heed the Archbishop's request to intensify our prayer around nuclear disarmament. Well, a rather sobering Fridays with Father, but we're living in a rather sobering time, brothers and sisters, and so I ask for your prayers during these days. I do look forward to seeing you this Sunday, the 9 a.m. Mass in English, which is live streamed, the 11:30 a.m. Mass in Spanish, which is also live streamed, and the 5 p.m. Mass on Sunday evening. As we come together to worship our Lord, the God who brings us a peace that the world cannot give, let us call upon our God this Sunday for peace. God bless.